Well, here we are. We are at the University of Bolton Stadium. Back in the day, this was the Reebok, but it's always
the Macron, the Reebok,
it's always been the home of Bolton Wanderers since they left.
The other place, I can't even think what it's called. Yes, sometime.
Well, we're not here for the football, even though we've both been here for the football many a time, haven't we? I mean, you've obviously been in the away end for Manchester United here. I've worked here many times as a reporter and whatever, and it's always it's a great ground to come to. But we're here for the boxing, aren't we?
We are. Friday night. There's a great card on at the. I was going to say, is it the De Vere Suite still? Yeah, it still is the De Vere Suite in the hotel. Yep. And there's a great card. Lyndon topping it in an IBO World Title shot. Some great 50-50 fights and Chloe Watson on it. So it's a great card. Plus a full supporting undercard.
James Moorcroft, did you mention him?
James Moorcroft, my fighter. That's a fantastic fight. Him and Nathan Bennett. It's a real 50-50 fight, on paper, as is the other fight with Kane Gardner and Connor. Yep. That's another fantastic fight, and I do really think it's a great card on Friday night.
So it's all the press activity today, bit of a media day here, so we'll crack on and see what we can find out. Well, we are here in Bolton with Lyndon King, after Suarez likes to call you the King of the North. So that's the way it's looking as far as Wasserman are concerned. You are headlining, it's terrestrial TV, millions watching. Yeah. Again, you've been on this setup before, but how important is it to you now at this stage of your career to have so many eyeballs on what you want to do now at this stage of your career?
This opportunity is great. The IBO title. I'm aware that it's not the big one. I'm aware it's not one of the top four, but it is still a world title, and I'm excited to fight for it. I'm excited to win it as well.
Lyndon, you're building a little fortress here. I remember last time out you had great support here. It's going to be the same again Friday night for the big one. And I also liked with Phil Lennon, who's mentioning these domestic punch. No, we'll talk about these after it. This is the most important fight of your career Friday night, isn't it?
Most definitely. Obviously the yards was big. Even Emmanuel and him, the Commonwealth title, my first title fight. Yeah. But every fight, this is big, but every fight from now is big. I can't afford to slip up, and I have to be on form every time.
This fella that's coming here, he looks confident, he speaks well, he's got a great record. He's not fought out of Argentina before, but we've seen more than once recently Central Americans, South Americans, come over here and do a number. So I know you're going to have done your homework and you're going to be careful, but I was just saying to you before we started, we can dig a bit maybe, and you said, well, so can I. You're not bothered. I mean, you've done your work, you've looked at him. Anything that you're particularly concerned about at all? Not
so much concern, but just I have to be on my A game. He's not a bad fighter. He's good at what he does. He's obviously got 16 knockouts and 17 wins, 1 loss, which you can't really look at. It was in the first round. Like I said, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. I'm excited to be in there and show some of the stuff that I've been working on as well in the gym.
Yeah. And in the history, the quality, we go years and years back to Colliers and Moston Gym. This, you just said, it's not one of the 4 big world titles, but it gives you that platform, that bargaining tool to maybe do that. How far away, we're not looking past Friday, do you think you are from joining that elite list, that Colliers to Moston, and being a world champion?
Not far at all. Like you said, this title gives me a bigger foot in the door, bigger bargaining tool.
Opportunities come off this, absolutely.
Like I said, I'm not far. This domestic fights without the world titles that I can defend against, that will make huge fights here in Britain. Yeah. So, like I say, I'm excited for the future.
Look, domestically now, I mean, you look at the way it's all shaping up, and Callum Smith, Anthony's mate, obviously he's trying to do, he's trying to look at Beterbiev and that kind of level. Domestically, even Callum said that maybe you're not at the Callum Smith level now. He's looking internationally, but that's where you're going to be, that's where you want to be. But you look at Boatsi, he's moved promoters now. It's kind of the whole light heavy game is like crazy, isn't it? I mean, is it domestic clearing it up here that you'd want to do first, or are you going to just look wherever the belts are, or what?
Whatever makes business sense as well. You have to look at that, and I also believe the domestic fights probably are sometimes the bigger fights. They mean a lot more. You have a bit. You're from London, from Manchester. It creates that rivalry automatically. So them fights sometimes are bigger. Not in as regards to legacy, but for the fans and stuff like that. So there's exciting times ahead.
And then without getting too deep, this IBO World Lightweight title, and it would mean the absolute world to you. But who would it mean the most to you to take that belt home and give it to someone?
Yeah, obviously to show my son, let him play.
Yeah.
Let him parade it around where
Yeah.
It's for me as well. Just for me,
Yeah, of course.
It's another title to get behind my what was collection. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we saw Zelfa stepped up and he had the big world title fight not too long ago. Obviously, you normally come as a pair. It's rare you see one without the other. These things, but. What's it like between the pair of you now? If you get hold of this, does it give him a bit of a kick and vice versa when he's in big fights?
I assume so. He's got his. We're both on different paths. He's got his fight coming up with Alex, and I've got this fight coming up. And if he wins that, I believe we'll fight Cardino. And we're both on the right path for big things. So we both fire off each other.
Yeah.
Lyndon, fan from me. Friday night, Manchester's new world champion. What are the plans for the weekend?
Eat food, and a lot of it, and chocolate and all shit that I've not been eating because of this. So
You can relax then. It's an international break, so there's no Manchester United to worry about. But obviously, you always have Brandon, Marcus Rashford. They come to your fights, don't they? You've got that support of the club and your mates there at the club as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I think Brandon's coming down. I'm not too sure about Marcus yet, but just to have anyone come down for that statue is good. It's good support. We all support each other, so it's good.
Good
Season as well, isn't it?
I can't wait for it. Flying.
The whole season.
This is
Yeah, the FA Cup derby.
Lyndon picks up this title, the FA Cup. So the quad's still on. The quad's still on.
Good luck on Friday night.
Lyndon, all the best on.
Well, it's the man himself, James Moorcroft, the King of Wigan, who's in action again here in Bolton on Friday night. And you've got a fantastic looking fight, in fairness. Nathan Bennett, you both spoke very well in the press conference, quite respectful, obviously. 50-50, you said. And it's one of a couple of 50-50s that people are looking forward to on this, Bill. So I know you've put the prep in, you're ready to go. What are we going to see on the night?
Dom, this is a 50-50 fight, and it's the fight I've been asking for a very long time now. Not specifically Nathan Bennett, but a fight fell through. I went to Bilbao, took a fight, very tough fight away from home. But yeah, it's a fight I've been asking for. It's a fight that I think come Friday night could possibly, like people have been saying here, is going to steal the show because there's masses on the line for it. The winner will fight for the English title come summertime. We're both managed by the same manager. I want to be number one welterweight. He wants to be number one welterweight. And I think it's a long way back for the loser, Dom. So I've prepared well. Anthony Crolla's been my coach for 2 years now, and
Never mind.
We've had 4 fights now together. I believe that this fight will be the pinnacle where everything comes together. And come Friday night, I'm going to show something I've never shown before, and that's class and whatever else I show.
Well, if there's a couple of schools of thought on this fight. I mean, if Nathan comes to put it on you, that might work for your kind of style maybe, but if he wants to try and box you, you're going to have another string to your bow. Is that the way that you're thinking about the whole thing?
I don't really look into much, but I've been watching a few of his videos, and he has been playing on the amateur background. He had 85 amateur fights. He's fought for England. He's fought all over the country as an amateur. I had 12 unlicensed fights. As I've said on many interviews, I didn't know what amateur boxing was till I was 22 years of age. Yeah. So I do believe, I may be wrong, I do believe he's going to try and go back to his amateur days, try to box me. He's coming up to welterweight. I will be the bigger guy in there, and I will be taking that front foot with him. And hopefully, whatever he does, I'm ready for anything, Dom. I do think he's going to try and box me, but like I said, with Anthony now, we've covered everything. I'm ready for whatever Nathan can possibly bring, whatever that may be, Dom.
Now you come through this, it is an English belt on the line then.
Yes.
That's the next step. Now that you're in the serious business of titles then.
Yeah.
You've come a long way very quickly, haven't you?
Massively.
That would be some achievement to get to that point, and then you get that belt, and then it's all coming together, isn't it? Dom, you must have envisioned all of this.
Yeah, Dom. In a way, this is massive for me. Every fight I train like it's a world title fight. I train very, very hard. Coming from the unlicensed background, it's like this is massive for me. This is huge, and I've already completed everything I said I was going to do. But now everything that comes now will be absolutely great. But I know I can do it, Dom. I know I will beat Nathan Bennett on Friday and then go on to win that English title. It's a great belt, a proper domestic 50-50 fight on Friday, and I know Anthony Tomlinson and Danny Ball are going to have a great fight for that. That's another genuine 50-50 domestic fight, and I think that boxing nowadays needs that, Dom. I said there's a lot of fights going on nowadays, and I'm thinking, you know, they're good fights, but these are genuine 50 fights, just like Kane Gardner and Conor Walker. You know, they're fighting over 8 rounds, genuine 50-50 fight. They're good friends, they know each other, we've all sparred in the same time. They're fighting over 8 rounds for nothing. You know, they're fighting for ranking, they're fighting for pride, they're fighting for just to be the better than the other guy, and you've got to take your hat off to these guys. That's why I respect Nathan Bennett so much, you know, and I can see that normally Nathan's a bit angry, and I can see that he's given me respect, because we was going to fight over 8 rounds until the board mandated us for this fight. So, you know, I've got to say thank you to Wasserman for actually putting them into us, to giving us this platform to portray our skills.
And it is some platform. There's going to be an awful lot of people watching you.
Well,
how's that going to feel?
I didn't really know the numbers on Channel 5 until I looked into it a few months ago, and I think the Harlem fight and the Tom Farrell fight, we got over 1 million views or something like that. I can't be too much on figures, but
that's not going to bother you, is it?
That's not going to bother me at all. That's going to do me well. I'm hoping to get a few more followers on Instagram, and hopefully that'll do.
Well, half of Wigan are going to be there anyway, so all your usual crew are going to be there anyway, aren't they? It's not too far to travel, obviously. So
no, they are phenomenal. They make it for me, you know. You know them very well, and they get behind me every time. I've got brilliant sponsors within the community, and we're all friends. And without them, this would be physically impossible, if not massively impossible. So it's all going to come together Friday, Dom. I feel like I'm ready for this fight. I've never felt so physically and mentally strong.
This would be, again, another massive notch, not just for yourself, but for, I don't like to big him up obviously, but for Anthony, because obviously Anthony Crolla got his first title as a coach with Braian, your big mate, a couple of weeks ago. This is the next step on that ladder for him as well, so it's a huge night for Ant as well.
It definitely is, and I will just say massive congratulations to Rhiannon and Anthony for getting his first professional title as a coach. Rhiannon's absolutely phenomenal trainer. She's definitely the second best, the second hardest trainer in the gym by me. So it's good to it's good to see Rhiannon going on to them titles. But I think this is only the beginning for Rhiannon. You know, come the end of the year, I know she'll be pushing on for European. She'll be pushing on for world titles come next year, and I know she's got the potential to go on to do that, and with Anthony behind her, I think that's well within her reach very soon.
Well, it's all about you on Friday night, and all the very best.
Thank you so much.
Well, Chloe, it's another fight night. It's a great platform. It's in Bolton. It's not a million miles from Birkenhead, as you made quite clear in the press conference. You're Birkenhead. No, there's no grey area there. You're training Hyde, obviously. We know that in the Hatton camp. So, how are you feeling ahead of this one?
I'm feeling good. Looking forward to it. You know, like I said up there, last time out was good. And we've been working hard, and we're looking forward to building on from that performance.
Yeah, we know about your amateur pedigree, and you've done great so far in the pros, and I think, 23?
23, yeah.
So again, it's all plenty of time on your side, but how eager are you to get serious, if you like, now? I mean, you've made a couple of statements already in your career so far, so when do you take that, you're always itching to take the next step?
Yeah, I think every boxer is, let's be honest. But, you know, you did say there, I have got time on my side with being 23, so my main thing is that I'm, you know, progressing with each fight. But then obviously with that comes opportunities, and you know, I have no doubts that, you know, we're looking to be ready for them opportunities once they come.
And in and around your weight division, again, you know, I suppose everyone keeps saying about the women's side of the game, the pool isn't too deep. There's some good fighters in your division. I mean, what are the kind of goals for over the next 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, when I first turned over, there was no fighters at flyweight, and now you look, you know, there's about 4 or 5, and there's another like 4 or 5 at light flyweight. And that's something that's exciting as a fighter, because you've got potential there for, you know, some really good domestic fights, and you have it with the lads, and you're going to have it with the females now. You know, it just comes with the growth overall, and that's something that excites me, and it should excite everyone that's watching and following those boxers. Yeah,
so the pool is definitely getting better in your division, but I think overall anyway, across the whole side of the sport, it is anyway. We've just seen with fights like Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron being made. I mean, you're smiling now. I mean, I'm not surprised, because that gives everyone a massive boost, doesn't it? And I'm not talking about just female fighters. I mean, everyone wants to see that fight. and it's brilliant for the sport, full stop, isn't it?
Yeah, and as they should want to see the fight, you know, it's going to be an amazing fight. I was just speaking before, it's a fight that I actually can't pick a winner. I can't predict on how it's going to go, and they're the best fights, because that's why you tune it in, because you know that it's the best be the best, and it's got all the ingredients to make one of the best female fights out there. And I have no doubt that there'll be a lot of eyes on that fight, with Katie Taylor being the fighter that she is anyway, and Chantal Cameron bringing everything she's going to bring. She's absolutely relentless. So yeah.
You're not picking one yet anyway, we can't put you on the spot on that one yet.
No, you can't put me on the spot on that one yet.
But on that, again, you look at that fight, you look at Natasha Jonas, who's just from over the water from you, who's the British Boxer of the Year. Your timing's perfect, really, to progress in the sport at this stage now, isn't it? Because it's just getting so good and so big now.
For me, I feel really lucky, because from when I first walked into a boxing gym, I got told that females don't really box. And it wasn't until I started hitting 11, 12, which is when people actually start to fight. Don't get me wrong, I stayed in the boxing gym, I was like, I am fighting. But it wasn't until I started getting to 11 or 12, then doors naturally started to open with female boxing going into the Olympics. So then that opened doors for myself, being a young girl wanting to fight, more girls coming into the sport, just able to get them amateur fights as you should be able to get at that age. And then obviously then when I started to step up through England and GB, they were developing. Literally just as I was growing into it, and now obviously you're seeing the likes of you just said yourself, you know, Natasha Jonas, Carissa Shields, Katie Taylor, all them, and you know, and what a way they're doing it. They're not, you know, they're not shying away from anything. They're really there to show what they're about, and you know, to show the skills, and that's how it should be done. And you know, hopefully one day I can do the same.
Well, plenty of eyes on you on Friday night anyway, and again, your opponent is going to be up for it as well. It's a good opportunity, a good stage for you to make another statement.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really looking forward to it, you know. And you know, you said there about my opponent. She's won 3, lost 1. So you know, she'll be coming to have a good fight, and we've trained hard, and yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, Crolla, you're back. I was going to say Manchester, obviously we're in Bolton. You were in Manchester last time, but it's all about the Manchester man for yourself, really, Lyndon Arthur, and a great card as well. We've been talking about the card. The King of the North. Yeah, the King of the North.
I came through Manchester this morning to get here, so always nice to be up this neck of the woods. What fantastic venue we have here. You know, it's certainly different to the old Bolton Wanderers ground. I remember coming there as an away fan. I remember standing on the terraces, and it was we lost 5-1 Tottenham. Which happens at Tottenham. 5-1 away to Bolton on a rainy Wednesday night at the old stadium. So yeah, this one's certainly better. I was here. I didn't miss a game in them days. No.
Well, you're not going to miss this one Friday night, and there's a lot of people that won't miss it. Plenty of eyes on it.
It's got so many different storylines around this fight. You can look at it and say it's an IBO World Championship. So the promoter's clearly trying to sell this to us as a full world title. The IBO title, first of all, at light heavies, been held by Roy Jones, Chad Dawson. Outside of the light heavies, you know, we can look at Klitschko, Golovkin, I can name you a load of names. But ultimately, what does this do for us? And you'll appreciate this very well from your career. There's a domestic bubble, and you break through that to go into the international bubble. Yeah. We just had Anthony Yard, fantastic performance, fought his heart out, but ultimately came up quite short. I don't think that Yard. That doesn't stop Yard going back and trying again, and maybe getting there next time. But I do think that there is value, and it's a professional sport. You get paid, and the paydays are good at domestic light heavyweight level at the moment. And those fights will serve two purposes. They'll, you know, we're talking about the likes of Boazzi, Dan Aziz, of course the trilogy with Anthony Yard. You can't look past that one. But it will also be that measuring stick to get to, you know, the Bivols, the Berterbievs, the Canelo floating around there, Callum Smith, who won, you know, he's won multiple world titles, so you have to place him outside the bubble for the moment. And so it's all on the line. Friday night live on Channel 5. very excited. I'm always excited when I've got shows that are on free to air, because it's very rare in boxing, as we know. And you know, if he can perform Friday night,
Yep.
win this world title, it puts him ahead domestically in the pecking order. Not the pecking order necessarily to go and take that step to the B. I mean, they're all tied up anyways at the moment. But in terms of the negotiations, of course, as a promoter, I've got to look at, you know, be the magnet for the big fights. And you know, I think that what I said before, that you know, the eyeballs on him will represent probably the eyeballs that the others have had in their combined last 6 fights. So that's, you know, so it's got a few selling points, this one.
A huge night for Lyndon Arthur, as we said, and there's 2 fantastic 10-rounders on the undercard. This card has a bit of everything, but just for me, I just wanted to hear Chloe Watson. She's making a lot of noise lately. She looks really good. We mentioned it then in the press conference, Callie. Do you reckon later this year you're going to manoeuvre her towards titles?
I think, you know, first of all, you show me a Scouser who doesn't make a lot of noise. Probably Callum's the only one.
He's the only quiet Scouser I know.
Softly spoken Scouser I've ever met. Even old Pricey was banging the drum. But it's activity. Like I said at the press conference, it's different to when I started out in female boxing, promoting female boxing. To make that clear, it was a quick journey to a world title. You'd have 4, 5, 6 fights, and you'd pretty much be there. You know, I remember we took on Cecilia Bracu's early in her career, took her to all 4 belts. She's a fantastic talent even now. Yeah. But the pool was so shallow, you know, and it seemed to me like every female fighter was almost there on the merits that they were good looking. Now it's the tables have turned. That sport is so serious, it's so live. Look at the great fights happening in female boxing, and unfortunately for Chloe, she's come 10 years late to have that express train through. And that wouldn't be the way I would guide her anyway. So second half of the year, I think, well, look at it.
But also, though, she's at the perfect time because of the platform she's on, the eyes that are going to be on her.
Also for the female sport.
Yes.
Let's absolutely no. And it's just that journey. You know, if it was 10 years ago, I would have said, well, the next show should be headlining, it'll be a world title fight. It will come. Yeah. But it is also, and you see more and more that the talent pool is much deeper in all the weight classes actually, and you know, so it's something that we will bide our time with, but move her at the right time and keep her active. You know, that's going to be key.
There's a couple of stories knocking about, Calla. I think you're aware. There's been a couple of things that have been spoken about that does involve you. Do involve you. One of them.
I hope it doesn't involve me.
One of them's moving today. One of them's moving today, obviously in a big way. But one was moving yesterday again. It's been spoken about, and now obviously you know where I'm going. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. Now Eddie Hearn in the interview that we've all heard or you've read about has suggested that the rematch clause is not a done deal with Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. You promote Chris Eubank Jr. So where are we with that?
Right, let me answer this step for step. First of all, unfortunately, my day and night didn't allow for me to watch the hour and 10 minutes of Eddie and Simon going at it. And I've been in there a couple of times with Simon, so I think everyone can go back and look at those pieces if you want to see my opinion on it all. At the same time, I'm sure it's very humorous viewing and everything. It's a very serious subject for me, and I think that people look past that. Our guy and the undercard got the rough end of the stick, and we can, you know, and I start to laugh about it, but because that's the way I get through life sometimes when I'm in dark places. And it was a very dark place that week. You know, it was a very dark place for boxing. Yeah, we can all say that, but everyone went on, and you know, it was for me in 23 years of boxing, I'd never been in a darker place personally. And it wasn't like I've had fights cancelled on the day. I remember we had a hepatitis thing with Valuev Shagayev in Helsinki years ago for the heavyweight world championship. It was so weird. It was like we were in the middle of
a day, wasn't it?
We were in the middle of a scandal the whole time. let's face it.
Yeah.
And we just, we were waiting for. And we on the.
Well, you had nothing in control.
We had no control over anything.
Yeah.
And we were the agreed party ultimately.
Yeah.
So it was. I'm getting done in every way possible here, and it was like watching a train hit, and you're trying to think you can get out of the way, but there's no way you're going to get out of the way of this. And it was a tough time. Some of the things I said in that week, maybe I would have taken back. At the same time, it was a weird place. And it's something that I prefer to forget. Would we look at that fight again? Coming back, first of all, the rematch discussions are on. We of course went out and said we want that rematch. But then, we have to find a contract with it. So at the same time, we're talking to them. Hopefully, there can be something done there soon. Is that option with Ben out there? He's cleared to fight outside the UK. So, am I running around at the moment? I'm in Bolton, so it's something that will take a lot of work, a lot of effort to go into it. Is it something that we would want to do? I would love to see that fight happen. Yeah, I'll be honest.
So at the minute, Junior's got the two options. Draw
a chapter to an end.
Yes.
And that's that for me. But again, he has to be legally cleared to fight, which he is currently, and that's outside the UK, which is still an ongoing discussion. 6 months later.
Yes, they will go on. The other big news was in the last 24 hours. It's brought that Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk looks very unlikely to happen now. So that. Then obviously it's been made pretty obvious that Usyk would have to fight Daniel Dubois.
Yeah.
The IBF have a mandatory, Hrgovic, you know very well.
Yeah.
And he would be Tyson. So
yeah, I mean so the IBF ordered when the fight looked like it was on.
And they're strict with the mandatories, aren't they? The IBF?
They're very strict with the mandatories, and an interim IBF is unheard of. So they went to that step of making an interim, so the winner could fight the interim. Then we went into the Ruiz negotiations, back and forth, multi-million-dollar offers to Ruiz, pulled it to the purse bid. On the day of the purse bid, they pull out. I'm like, oh my God, no. And anyways, same time, this fight collapses. So now the IBF, of course, are now waiting to give us the permission to go to the next interim. It gets so confusing, doesn't it, our sport sometimes? But that's what it is. So I'm watching it, of course, eagerly. As a fan, I'd be happy if that fight takes place end of April. I think we all would be. As a promoter of Hrgovic, got mixed emotions about it, I'll be honest. But, do I think it happens? I do. Yeah. I do think it happens. I'm not saying they're playing games with us as the public. This isn't a sort of, are they going to invade or not? And back and forth. No, it's not about that. I'm sure there are things that's still being discussed, reading between the lines. Do I agree with the 70-30 before that's asked? I can see why that argument's been made. To the fans who think it should be 50-50, that's nice. Everyone has an opinion.
Of course,
but if you're, you fought out of Manchester, out of the UK, you sold out that big arena in Manchester. If you're up against in a unification, and I come to you as a promoter, and I say he's from Venezuela, right, he's hard as nails, and it's 50-50, pal, we're going to unify. You're going to say to me, that's very nice, I'm sure I can tell my grandkids that, but I'd also like to pay the mortgage off. So you understand what I'm saying?
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
In old times, it would be like, okay, you keep the UK, they keep Venezuela, and we split the gate, for example.
Yes.
And then they benefit from your gate, which obviously would be more than the other territory. Those times seem to have changed a bit. For good, for better or worse, whatever way you look at it. But so, do I understand that old school mentality? Absolutely. Do I understand the people who argue for the 50-50? I get it as well. I don't think that Tyson's been unreasonable in it, though. That's to be fair.
Well, we'll have to see how that one all pans out. But Calla, I know you're a busy man, so thanks for your time, because we
Thank
could be
you.
here for about 3 more hours talking about all this. Let's face it. So we'll
definitely
have to cut it.
definitely get stuck into it. That's for sure.
Thanks, Calla.
Thank you.
So there we have it. All the press conferences over and done with. Again, it was all done in the best possible taste. As Kenny Everett used to say.
Very respectful. Very respectful from all of them.
It was. James spoke very well, your fighter. He's looking forward to that 50-50 with Nathan Bennett. Kane Gardner and Conor Walker, brilliant fight. Top of the bill, Lyndon doesn't quite know what he's going to get with this big Argentinian lad. As ever, Lyndon's as laid back and calm as ever.
I did like, though, the way he was asked about, domestic fights. Well, no, we'll talk about them after Friday. So I do like to see that from a fighter. But yeah, no, I think, like I say, this is a card that's got a little bit of everything. Plus the undercard, I've got another lad, Bobby Fulton, on it, and plus there's other fighters from around the area. It'll be a good crowd in here Friday night. Yeah,
it was great catching up with everybody, and particularly, I think, Calla Sauerland, who's got a lot going on, because he's got this big fight night that he's promoting. He's up here in the Northwest, and he's got a lot running around to do, because these stories are just flying at him, aren't they?
Yeah, I think, something tells me, I think he'll be a busy man after here with, I think, the news that's broke today regarding Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, which looks very unlikely to happen now. So I think there's.
Well, he said he still thinks it will, but he's got skin in the game either way.
We'll see. We'll see.
He's got opportunities there if he can get Hergovic involved, as he said. So
I've said it, mate. I think Alexander Usyk has been a very smart guy. I think what he's done, I think someone had said it a bit back. Tyson Fury, he very, very rarely loses, sort of mind games, stuff like that. But he's probably messed up a little bit here, and I think Usyk has took full advantage of it, as in like, I'll bow down to that. 70-30, I'll bow down to that. Rematch clause, I'll bow down to that, because here's my opinion, although Kelly thinks it still could happen. So it's less than 6 weeks, so it's 5.5 weeks we're going to see one of the biggest fights in recent years take place between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. For all the marbles, I just can't see it. I sound negative, but I think I'm also being realistic. And Usyk's played a very smart game, because he's just agreed to everything. And even at the back of his mind, he might think, I'll just keep agreeing to this, because there's no way this is happening in this short time. We'll see.
We will. Quick fire.
Yep.
Arthur versus Suarez. What happens?
Lyndon Arthur comes out behind that lovely jab that he has, and he starts to have success. And I believe he gets the job done 6-8.
I'm not going to ask you about your fighter's fight. That's not fair. But I will ask you about then Kane Gardner, lad you know well. He used to spar
that's
Kane
so hard
in
to
against
pick
Conor
a
Walker.
winner. That,
you got to pick one.
Genuinely, oh God, I've got obviously probably got to go with a Manchester lad. He's come off a very good win in Scotland. I think you was at that show, wasn't it? But listen, that is a tough one. That is a fight I genuinely would not want to pick. I think it's going to be going right down to the wire. So I'm saying obviously Kane, close points, very close points, but could easily go the other way.
Well, it's all to play for, as they say, here in the football world. But it is as well on Friday night right here. It is that Wasserman show.